Hey guys, I got some kind of brief tips for you on direct examination. First half is going to be for lawyers, second half is going to be for witnesses, so skip to whichever part you want. Alright, so starting with lawyers. First thing is, your job is to try and create a conversational feel with the witness. I know this is kind of awkward because you got questions and then the answers and you move on to the next question, next answer. It's also awkward because most of the time when the witness is answering, they're not looking at you, they're looking at the judge and giving information. So the way you can do this is a few ways. First of all, listen to them while they're talking. Don't be looking at your questions for the next question. Don't be going through the affidavits or the evidence to find something in the future. Pay attention to them. They get your focus. Look at them. Even if they're looking away, you're watching them. Use your nonverbals. You can head nod, whatever. Make it seem like you care about your witness. Even when they're being crossed, you should be paying attention to your witness. That person is your whole world for at least that 8 minutes, 10 minutes, however long the direct goes on, and for their cross. Be purposeful with your movements. Sometimes students, they shift back and forth and kind of look like they're hula dancing. Some twist back and forth. Some are doing the hand wringing. Some do like little gestures like, oh, he said this. Make sure your movements are very purposeful. If you walk around the room, make sure it's clear and intentional, not a nervous walk. Be confident and only move when you intend to. If you're making a hand gesture and you're pointing to someone, make sure it's always intentional and big enough so that it can be seen by the judge. You can use your face. A lot of times I see lawyers do things with like, wow, that's so sad. Like, really? Unless you just had Botox, your face isn't really showing sad. Make sure your movements are intentional. Know your lines. Know your witness's lines. If you're paying attention to your sheet of paper, you're not paying attention to them. Also, if they forget something, you need to know that they forgot something so that you can ask a follow-up question to get it in there. A great thing on direct, or even on cross, but more direct, is use their words and their answers to form your questions. And that helps get that conversation feel. That helps using what they said. That helps showing that you're paying attention to them. So do that whenever you can. Be ready for objections. You should be able to look at your questions and figure out, might they object to hearsay, relevance, speculation, whatever, to these questions. If they are objectionable and there's no way to get them in, why are you asking them? If there's a rule exception, or they're not speculation, or they're not hearsay, or whatever, be ready to defend the question. Know why you're asking it, know why it's not objectionable, or why it is allowed. There's nothing wrong with preparing a sheet ahead of time with, here's what to say if they say relevance, and if they object, say relevance. Quickly look at your notes, and then answer the judge, Your Honor, it's not relevance because whatever. Pay attention to other lawyers, especially your team. Pay attention to your team. You might have a member of your team who is trying to call someone out in their affidavit and they're having trouble finding it. Help them out. But also pay attention to them. Make it look like you care about your team members, that you care about the team. Because if everyone looks like they don't care, why should the judge care? Make sure you stay awake. Nothing worse than watching people talk and do directs and then someone's going, so distracting. You never want to distract during direct. Use your voice, lawyers. You need to be loud. You need to be clear. You need to use your voice. You've got all these different tools in your voice. Putting inflections in, going up and down, and not being monotone. Put some life into your voice. All right, witnesses. First of all, eye contact. Your lawyer is talking to you when they ask a question. Please introduce yourself, or whatever. But your answers, you shouldn't be looking at the lawyer if it's a long answer. If it's a long answer, you should be looking at the judge or the jury, whichever you have. For short answers, it doesn't make sense to go, yes, no, the 12th. That starts to get really distracting and annoying. But for longer ones, try to get that conversation with the judge going, and eye contact helps that a lot. Judges will often help this by trying to look at you, and if you're like, eventually they might stop trying, and this could be reflected in your score. When you're all done with your answer, you need to look back at your lawyer and wait for the next question. Act. Witnesses, you're a character. Like a character in a play. You need to be that person. Be in that character. Not just when you're on the stand. When you're sitting there waiting to be called, you're that person. When you get up and walk to the jury box, the witness stand, you are that person. I've seen people who play the part as angry. They are walking angry, and you can tell as they walk that they are pissed off about something. They are mad dogging someone as they walk. Whatever your part is, be that person from the moment you're in the courtroom till the moment the case is over. Use your voice. Inflections, pauses, stammers, stutters, tones, whatever. Your voice is a powerful, powerful tool for acting. There's only so much physical movement you can do when you're sitting in the witness stand. But you can do some movements. Make sure those movements are deliberate and purposeful. If you're going to refer to someone, gesture towards them and make the gesture big. Don't be like, he's over there. Make it a big gesture. Use your hands. Use your face. You can crinkle up your face. You can do whatever. Use your face. The best thing you can do is say your lines into a mirror and study your own face. If you're saying every single line and your face looks like this the whole time, I'm really sad. I'm really happy. That was really exciting. It's not believable. So look in a mirror if you can and practice your parts and try and get whatever you're doing figured out. Use your body. If there's a part where you're like, oh, it was so tiring, where you're so beaten down, whatever, do it. Know your part, but don't memorize it. If they ask you a question, your lawyer asks you a question, and you give the answer halfway through, the other side objects, your lawyer wins the objection, which hopefully they always will, and the lawyer repeats the question, and now you give word for word the exact same beginning to that question, you don't know the part. You just memorized a few lines. Don't be afraid to change a few words. As long as the main idea and the important details, the important facts are in there, change some words, especially when you have to repeat it. You should never do a word-for-word repeat unless it's something like an expert witness's scientific analysis of something. For regular witnesses, it should always be like a rephrase. It should always be a little different every time you repeat. Also, know your part so that when you're crossed, you can put stuff back in to your statements. Oh yeah, I said during direct that blah, 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 blah. Know your part. And know the other witnesses' parts. Specifically what they said in the courtroom the day that you're performing. If you are the last witness, you've heard 5 other performances. They've said things, probably about you or involving you or something you were involved in. You can use that. The genders are a big thing. If their person is playing a part and that person is a she, and you keep saying he because the person on your team playing that part is a he, you're not paying attention. Get the genders right. Know who it is. If you're like, that's Joe Blow over there. It's a member for the other team, but you're pointing to him. You're showing the judge, I'm paying attention. I know who's who. So know what they say in the directs, redirects, cross. Know their location in the courtroom. And know their genders especially. Alright, I hope these tips helped you a little bit. You can go onto YouTube and find tons and tons of videos that go more in depth about how to sit yourself, how to specifically answer or ask certain questions, and go into a lot more detail. But hopefully this helps you out and gives you the basics that you need.